Hello everyone, my name is Natalie Ledwell and this is the Inspiration Show. And today I have a very special guest coming to me from an exceptionally beautiful part of the world, and that would be Noosa in Australia. Can you please welcome my guest Miriam. Miriam, how are you?
Oh, Natalie, I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. I'm like a giggly schoolgirl right now.
I know, Miriam, it's such a good pleasure to have you here and the reason that we have you on the show is that your message and the work that you're doing right now is something that I think is exceptionally relevant for this time because, like yourself, I am also coming across a lot of women who all of a sudden seem to have this longing or this stirring in their soul that they want to step up and do something with more purpose or something that really is more passionate for them. So why don't we start first of all with your journey and your story and how you got to do this kind of work?
Okay, great. I originally had wanted a career in music, and that went pear-shaped and just didn't happen. So the only other thing I had to fall back on when I left school was my secretarial skills, and I ended up joining the Department of Foreign Affairs in Australia, and that led to a few postings overseas. So at like 22, I went off to Beijing and then Kathmandu and then Vienna. And Vienna was like a massive turning point for me because not only for the music factor, which sort of somehow compensated for this lost music career that didn't happen, but that's where I'm getting all teary just thinking about it. That's where I learned something really powerful about beauty and pleasure and the healing power of beauty and pleasure. And this has actually continued to be my big motto in life. And so, moving on from there, Vienna being one of the three major UN cities in the world, I ended up getting involved with work at the UN, and that then led into the next 10 years of three UN postings. So again, Vienna, then I went to the Gaza Strip, and then I ended up in New York. So this was the next crossroads, and I realized that yes, I was living all around the world and having these great jobs, but I felt more and more invisible. And even though I had great bosses, that thing of feeling like there's got to be something more. So part of the reason for going to New York was that I had um, for many years been just like a sponge around esoteric books, and I won't name all the names that we all know so well, the Shirley MacLaines and the Deepak, and so. And another couple of books that I had read were by Barbara Brennan, who created this amazing modality in energy medicine, and Barbara Brennan had her own school at that time based in New York. So cut a long story short, I ended up enrolling in this 4-year program, and that's what was, I suppose, the bridge between leaving behind the day job and going down a much more spiritual track, and that then led me to come back to Australia via California, and set up my own holistic coaching practice.
Now, I know before we got on the video together, you were talking about how women are waking up to their divine calling. How do you know as a woman if you have a divine calling?
Well, I feel like it's a great question. I feel like it starts with that divine discontent. And, a lot of people used to say to me, well, how do I know if I need healing or I need help? And I think the answer to that question is wherever there is some kind of stirring at the soul level, or discontent, or some sort of quest, or even frustration, they're the key signs that there's something more. And while I no longer do the energy work that I studied, I'm now doing more group work, and this is very much part of what, I feel people just gravitate. They just, it's almost like that magnetic pull that you know about more than most people. There's that thing where people find you when you are the right person for them. It is like a gravity thing. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's the beginning of it, the discontent. And I get very excited, actually, when people come with all those frustrations. I sort of start to rub my hands together with glee, because um, you know, I just love that journey of exploration.
Yeah.
And everyone is so unique, you know.
Absolutely. So, all right. So let's say that we're someone that is like, okay, there's got to be something more than this. I am frustrated. I am discontent. Is there a process that they can go through that's going to help them to figure out what it is that will make them content? That is that passionate divine thing that they should be doing.
Absolutely. And this process, or again, forgive the analogy of the cake, but I have put together like my own recipe, and I don't think there's only just one ingredient in the cake, as we know. It's kind of like if you leave out the eggs, then it's going to flop. So I've created like a 7-step program for, or 7 ingredients basically, that I put the focus on, this, and this. One of the key ingredients, just again, because it's something I'm really passionate about, even though I'm not an astrologer, I am obsessed with astrology as a layperson, and specifically there are 2 aspects in the chart. One is the North Node, and the North Node gives such key information about the soul's journey and what, at a soul level, we came to learn in this lifetime. The other aspect is Chiron, and this represents the wounded healer. And this is where it just gets so beautiful, because people tend to want to just fix their wound, whatever it is, because we've all got one that we've brought onto the planet at this time to heal in ourselves, not totally, but just enough so as we can develop that self-compassion, and then offer our learnings to other people with a similar, um, uh, call it affliction or difficulty. Does this make sense?
Challenge. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, all right.
Um,
So, because I know that you've been working with women to help them step into this, you know, this next amazing chapter of their life. Let's just call it that.
yes,
So, can you share some stories of people that you've worked with, and some, you know, some transformations and changes that they've made in their life?
yes, and the transformations are incredibly beautiful. And again, the uniqueness of each transformation is what I love as well. One woman has just blossomed in terms of her music career, and doing composition, and just uh, going down that track where she had completely um, held back from, thought it was just going to be a hobby, and now is just sort of blasting forward. Another client of mine who was just hating every day of her job, she ended up just like taking that wild leap off the cliff, like, the fool in the tarot pack, of just diving off and seeing where she would land. And I just heard from her a couple of days ago, letting me know where she's landed now. And whereas another client I can think of has decided to take a much more structured approach of keeping her day job and charting out a plan so as when the day comes to venture into her new venture, she's created the bridge. So everyone is so different, you know. Another client I can think of didn't realize she was like a master manifester in terms of, just sort of money coming out of thin air. And other women have become more and more passionate about raising their children and child protection, these sorts of things. But Natalie, if I had to say the one thing that moves me so much about this transition, it's this thing of getting, not just women, because I know this applies to men too, but I've just chosen to focus specifically on women. It's like getting out of the slavery. You know, it's like slavery it may have been abolished in certain areas of the world, certainly not all, but I feel there are so many more subtle forms of modern day slavery that people aren't even aware that they're trapped in, and this is something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing, a lot of the time too, it's like we have this this picture of how we think society and our families and people expect us to be. And so we get lost in being a mother and being a wife and, and juggling that with a career and doing all of that. And I know not long ago, I kind of felt like I was just living life on the surface. I'm going through the motions, I'm doing all these things, and on the surface everything looks great and I'm achieving all these things and, that looks wonderful, but there's no meaning, there's no purpose, there's no connection, there's nothing underneath it. And I've actually started to incorporate some spiritual practice into my day, so that I can more often than not be able to drop into the moment and really sit in this moment and appreciate this conversation that we're having. And all of that. It's like, you have to, I think part of that is stepping into this. So I think my next question for you is there really an age limit to when you can, step into your divine calling?
No, I don't believe there is any upper limit at all. And in fact, most of my clients are sort of mid-40s and onwards, because again, for the first part of up until 40, this is my experience, up until about 40, 42, we haven't yet crossed into that true depth of the fullness of our, call it world service or soul's longing or purpose, whatever. Then at 50, there's another very key astrological transit that is just a once in a lifetime transit, unless you live to be 100. That is another pivotal turning point. It's almost like when we start to come into our true wisdom. And so, no, absolutely no, cut-off date whatsoever. And the other thing that I'm so passionate about, and which was a huge part of my healing at the Barbara Brennan School, was learning to honor my own rhythm. It's a bit like what you were saying before, Natalie. We have so many expectations from all the people in our lives, and often it can be really a tricky thing to continue to maintain our own rhythm and be true to self. Because I think if more people on the planet were doing that, there would be far less sickness.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And more happiness.
Yes, yes.
Miriam, thank you so much for joining me today. It's our time has gone very quickly, as I knew it would. So if people want to reach out to you and connect with you and work with you or find out what it, where can we send them to do that?
Okay. So my website is womenwithacalling.com, and my offer for your listeners is a free 90-minute webinar on this whole process, the 7 ingredients to the recipe of the cake of the process that I went through in my own life to go from A to B, to cross that bridge. And so I'd be delighted if your viewers wanted to take up the offer.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, thanks again, Miriam. It's been a pleasure having you here, and it's always a pleasure having a fellow Aussie on the show.
Ah, so nice. Thank you, Natalie. Wonderful to connect with you.
Wonderful. Now, guys, I encourage you to share this video. You can do that by clicking the Facebook and the Twitter share buttons on this page. Also, make sure that you download the app so you can watch the shows on the go. And leave your email in the box on this page so that I can send you the Manifesting with the Masters video e-course. It's actually valued at $87, and I would love to send it to you for free. So until next time, remember to live large, choose courageously, and love without limits. We'll see you soon.
Mm-hmm.